That was also a promise that Kenyans feel that has not been met. And also 3, theft, push to amendments to anti-graft laws to ensure corruption cases are cleared within 6 months. That's also a promise that the president did. Impunity, stand action against police officers implicated in the brutality, abductions, and extrajudicial killings. Those are part of the promises that Kenyans believe the president should act on, and that is what brings the totality of today's People Daily newspaper top story, Ruto's empty promises. We'll get to read that and much of that story on page 4. Now, let's move to page 1, where President Ruto demands withdrawal of university letters over fees. Now, President warned vice chancellors of public universities against what he said was a foul play. Now, you can get to that story and much more in page 2 of the People Daily newspaper, story by Evans Nyakundi. Now, let me give you the brief of what to expect. President William Ruto yesterday ordered withdrawal of all admission letters issued to students without using the newly developed need assessment tool that will guide how much fee each learner will be required to pay. Now, that's form part of the story of what to expect when it comes to matters to do with education. Now, the president has warned and has demanded withdrawal of university letters over school fee. I remember yesterday there was a parent who asked me, how does it work? Now, the university students are about to go to school, and so far he has not seen a fee structure, and at the same time he is having admission letter for her daughter. Much and more, let's get to it and find out what is in that story. At the same time, Eldoret University play over poor leadership. Teaching and non-teaching staff at the financial troubled Moi University have petitioned President William Ruto to change the top management over poor leadership. Now, University of Nairobi, Moi University staff and non-teaching staff are pleading with the president to change the leadership of the university. Now, this they say is as a result, their quest is as a result of poor leadership. Now, that and much of the story written by Winston Chesareni, you'll get that story in page 2 of the People Daily newspaper. And as you know, Kwale chief heads hands goods to people living with disability. Now, the leadership of Kwale County has handed over, they have handed over 90 gala goods as they enhance agriculture in that area. You can get read much more of that story in page 2 of the People Daily newspaper. At the same time, when we move to page 3, lecturers threaten protest over delayed pay and unremitted deductions. A story by Charity Shitote and Samuel Karaoke. Officials of the Lecturers Union yesterday threatened to call a protest over persistent salary delays and failure by the government and the university's administrations to remit statutory reductions for public university staff. That is also a story that you get to check on and read much more. As we move on the same story, on the same page, we have health emergency declared in Africa over monkeypox flare up. Now, African CDC is engaging with countries to prevent the outbreak for becoming another pandemic. Now, the African CDCs are now engaging with different countries and almost all countries in Africa, so that they may prevent the outbreak of monkeypox, which, if it's not dealt with, will result into another pandemic. That and much you will find in page. Read that story in page 3 of the People Daily newspaper. The story is by Frank Masese and Tony Wafula. You can also read that story. It's there in page 3 of the People Daily newspaper. Chest cities better for cancer screening. Story by Milian Muringi. With lung cancer cases rising in Kenya and globally, citizens have been urged to embrace the use of advanced imaging techniques like chest CT, and pistorial emission thermography scan for the screening. Now, chest cancer is increasing, and Kenyans are advised to embrace the new digital platform to test themselves and find out more. You can read much and more of that story in page 3 of the People Daily newspaper. As we move on to page 4, the beleaguered Meru Governor Kawira to face Senate plenary next week. A story by Mercy Mwai. Impeached Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza will on Monday and Tuesday next week appear before the Senate plenary for the second time to defend her continued stay in office after senators rejected an attempt to have a select committee discuss the matter. We know of how the governor has been faced with a lot of challenges and motions that quest for her impeachment. Now follow up next week on Monday and Tuesday with the Senate to find out how the proceedings go in the plenary committee. That and much of that story, you'll find it in page 4 of the People Daily newspaper. Now we also have queries over Ruto's empty promises after Gen Z's demos. What I just gave the brief of what to expect. President Ruto announced a race of pledges to nations during clashes as youths brave high-handedness. Now, you will find that and much of the story in page 4. Story by Samuel Karaoke. Get a free copy and read much of that story in page 4 of the People Daily newspaper. Sorry for that. As we move to page 5, teenager says she was forced to fast. The story about the Shakahola that we gave you. Witness now tell court that she starved for 38 days in Shakahola forest in direct way to hasten her death. Now this comes as a 17-year-old teenage girl yesterday recounted how she was forced to fast for 38 days in Shakahola forest in order to hasten her death. Now that and much of the story you'll find there in page 5 of the People Daily newspaper, and it is by Sophie Njoka. Get your piece of copy and read more. Now, as we move, senior police commanders moved in latest shuffling, targeting 15 individuals. As we know, former president, the story is there by Zadok Angira, former President Uhuru Kenyatta's late bodyguard, Papita Ranka, has been named the new Northeastern Region Police Commander in charge in changes that affected over 15 senior police commanders. That and much of that story you'll find in page 5 of the People Daily newspaper. Now moving into matters of new cabinet, you'll also find there Miano. I will consult on boosting tourist earning. Now, newly appointed Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano yesterday pledged to fast-track strategies for unlocking the immense potential of Kenya tourist sector. Now, that and much story, you'll find that story by Alvin Mwangi. You'll find there in page 6 of the People Daily newspaper. Now, at the same time, Oduor take oath as first woman Attorney General. MPs also endorsed Parliament's Ruto's pick of a school as Cabinet Secretary for East African Community Affairs. Now, Dorcas Oduor will be the first woman Attorney General after Parliament approved her nomination yesterday. At the same time, remember also, MPs also endorsed the nomination of Beatrice Askul as the East Africa Community Affairs Cabinet Secretary, setting the stage for a new swearing of this morning. Now, today, we expect to see that story by Anthony Mwangi. You will find that there, that story in page 6 of the People Daily newspaper. At the same time, accountant frauded state agency of 302 million Kenya shillings. Story by Caroline Kubwa. Former accountant at the state agency has been charged with fraudulent acquisition of public property amounting to 302 million shillings. You can read much and more of that story in page 6 of the People Daily newspaper. Just like I told you earlier, the Director of Communications in Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Salim Swale, and 4 others charged with 5.8 million fraud. You can go and read much and more. Now, the office that many Kenyans doubted and did not see the need for, that the office of Musalia Mudavadi, that's the Prime Cabinet Secretary, is now facing a challenge there. You will get to read your paper and find more. As you move, MPs claim local politicians using criminals in banditry. Now, report table in the Parliament placed politicians at the center of intercommunal fraud in Wharton, North Rift counties. You can read much of the stories in page 8 of the People Daily newspaper, a story by Mercy Mwai. Now, we move to page 8, page 9, where we have the advertisement. You can check your copy and read there, and move to page 10, where we have the People Daily editorial. Now we have the quote of the day. We have 3, but I will only sample one, that is from Juja MP George Koimburi. He said, "It is time the government declares who should live here. Is Juja a game park or a residential area for people? We should be told whether it is us who should live here or the hyenas." That's the quote of the day. You find it there. And also we have the cartoon of the day, where we have the government, that is the Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, in the same trouser with the President William Ruto, as they play violin, as they enjoy the music, while Kalonzo is left alone in the opposition, and Raila is asking, "You are either with us or alone." It speaks a lot, and much of the feature stories there. Why world should embrace power of digital natives? That is also part of the story to find there in page 11. In digital age, who qualifies to be called a journalist? Now that's a story there by Henry Kekonde, a feature story. Get your copy and read. New founded Kupet Alliance sound suspicious. Now, new founded Nat and Kupet Alliance sound suspicious. That is a filler story you expect to read in page 11 of the People Daily newspaper. At the same time, we have a feature story by Nzola Miranda, Lessons from Olympic on Technology and Sustainability. You'll also get that feature story and read more. Now we move to page 12. This where a sea slowly swallows a village. Rising sea level had began to rise, and within 5 years, the hotel's 9 guest cottage. Now the hotel is now submerged in water as the sea rises day by day. You can get to read that and much of that story in page 12 of the People Daily newspaper. At the same time, Kisumu County unveils 64 million agricultural training center. A story by Kefa Otieno. Kisumu County government has unveiled the Papkonam Agricultural Training College, a 64 million project aimed at revolutionize the agricultural sector in the region. Now, the change that is Nyong'o spring up in Kisumu is awesome. Now they have launched a 64 million agricultural training center, which will revolutionize the agricultural sector. You can get much and more of that story in page 12. Now, moving into page 13, where court order police numbers and name tag to be displayed. Officers on the beat have been ordered to display service numbers at all times when engaging with rioters. That as a story by Caroline Kubwa. You expect to read much and more of that story in page 13 of the People Daily newspaper. Now we move to page 14. A section of Kwale residents wants to be given back titanium land. Local highlighted the dire conditions they face and emphasized the fairness of returning them to their original ancestral land. That is a story by Shaban Omar. You expect to read much and that story in page 12. At the same time, we gave you the quote of the day about who should stay in Juja, whether it is the hyena or the people. The story is here. You can read a story there. Kenya Wildlife Service plans hyena camp in Juja, offends neighbors. A story by Matthew Ndung. You can read that story in page 14 of the People Daily newspaper. At the same time, on the same page, Nigerian novelist to grace Macondo literary festival. Remember the famous known Nigerian novelist, that is Chigozie Obioma, is to grace part of the guest to grace the event. Get to read much more of that story in page 14 of the People Daily newspaper. Now, page 15, we have the advertisement. Morning Vibes. You'll get that in Morning Vibes with Remy Manjaro. That is in K24. Read and get more on that. We move to the People Daily newspaper. We move on and we are in Business Hub. Business Matters. Fuel prices to remain unchanged in latest April review. That will be a boost as the price of fuel will remain constant. Will not change in that. At the same time, Kenya defends tolling key roads amid resistance. Why Kenyans are asking the authority is seeking to toll roads construction by previous government using taxpayers. You can also get through the story there by Cynthia Atuo. At the same time, Cooperative Bank upgraded to prestigious MSCI Frontier Market Index. That's up last for the bankers in Kenya. You can get with much and more of that story in page 16 of the People Daily newspaper. Now, moving into page 17, cooperatives to tap the CUK's digital platform for growth. AFDB funded system aimed to link agricultural cooperative society to markets, service providers and investors. Now, a story there by Nicholas Waitahu. You can also read there, where let me just give you a brief of that. Agricultural marketing cooperatives stand to benefit from wider market access high surplus and enhanced technology use thanks to an open source and cost-friendly digital system by the Cooperative University of Kenya. You can also read that and much of the story in page 17 of the People Daily newspaper. On the same time, Uganda and Kenya coast tourism deal thrives as number increased. You will also read that story on the same page. Aluminium Metal Works Farm Euroform sets up in Tatu City. Story by Matthew Ndungu. You can also read that as Samsung unveils a new store in Nairobi. Story by Vanessa Sambra. All those stories you'll find them there in page 17 of the People Daily newspaper. Now in page 18, Sasini warned of 20% dip in net profit. Now Sasini the firm attributes the deep hike in production cost, depressed prices and disruptions. That you can also find there in page 18. At the same time, we have the market watch. You can check the market watch in page 8 and Nairobi Securities Exchange. You can also check there. At the same time, we have ICPAC raids illegal accounting firms after tip-off. A story by Noel Wandera. You'll also read that and find much more of the stories there. Now moving into the world news, that is in page 19. People Daily also give you world news, the stories of what's happening in the world and across. Now the story here we have is Russia shows off its latest weaponry at military forum. Now in the midst of its invasion of Ukraine, Russia is promoting its latest weaponry at military exhibition outside Moscow. That and much of the story you'll find there. And you also remember African CDC declares monkeypox emergency. It was a world story. You'll also get there to read much and more of that story. As former LRA top commander convicted of multiple crimes. Now remember, Joseph Kony, overall leader of the rebel group, Joseph Kony said to be hiding in an grave within Central Africa region. Now, the story from Kampala, a former commander of the Lord's Resistance Army rebel group has been convicted of a dozen of crimes against humanity in a key moment of justice for many in Uganda who suffered decades of its tribal insurgency. You will also get to read much of that story and more. Gaza under Israel evacuation orders. That is also a story to find there. In the world stories, we move to page 20 where we have the 10. What you need to know about Graves' disease. That is a story you want to read. It is there in page 20 of the People Daily newspaper on Click and Click. That is in page 21. Dance floor maniacs. That's also a story you have to read there in page 20 and get to see what to expect there. Moving into page 22, travel wise, Malindi Resort shows up endorphin tourism for wellness conscious tourists. That's also what you expect there. We have the pictorial and the story there. As we move and move and move and move, all the desert you dream, desire and desire to eat. You will also read that in page 23 of the People Daily. Your drink at your doorstep. Now a story there of how Anthony Owich has leveraged internet and e-commerce growth in Kenya to thrive as a businessman in an online space. You got to read the story by Caleb Korid and much more you'll find there and read much. Now we move to page 25 where we have public notices, NEMA notices, we have auctioneers and much more of what to expect and the advertisements there. We also have page 26, time out, where we have different TV programs. K24 is there, Kameme TV is there, KBC is there, Citizen is there, NTV is there, KTN is there. And for the lovers of horoscope, we also have a site there for horoscope, and we also have Sudoku. For those who love the Sudoku, you can also grab a copy and try to find whether you are good at the game. Now moving into page 27, where we have People Daily Sport. What is in the sport? After 26 years of drought that is being trophyless, FC Leopard club president now says this season, new season, is a season for the AFC Leopard. That and much of that story you'll get to read there. AFC Leopard will end 26 years trophy drought new season, says the club president, that is Dan Shikanda. You can also get to read much of that story as Kenya and Egypt land wildcards for September FIBA World Cup set scheduled for Mongolia. You can also get to read that and much of the story. Boundless. Juma breaks the barrier to become first ever female head coach in charge of a top flight male top as she joins Talanta FC. Now, Football Kenya Federation Premier League will for the first time have a female coach taking charge of men's team when men's team in 2024-2025 kick off on Saturday, August. Now, Juma will now be the Talanta women football head coach. You can also read that. At the same time, remember, Kisumu and Kabras rugby football clubs set for an exciting $7 counter Voyo. You can also read that story there by Vincent is also there. As we move all in one hope, with the background rooted banking, Landes golfing prowess showcase a unique blend of precision and patience. You can also read that story there as in page 28 of the People Daily newspaper on sport, as Elga Chepkore's poised for success at East African Games. That's also a story by Emmanuel Rono on Matters to Read Sports. Grab a copy and read much more. Now, what you missed. Kipchumba silver medal marks Kenyan's first at World Masters. Let me give you a story by Vincent Viola. Joshua Kipchumba won Kenya's first medal at the World Masters Athletics Champions in Gothenburg, Sweden on Tuesday evening. The 55-year-old clocked 10 minutes, 27 seconds and 45 in the men's 300 triple chase to claim silver in the championship, which began on Tuesday. Now that's what shocked me. A 55-year-old man can still run that fast. Get to read much in that story as she brings the first medal to Kenya in the games that is ongoing. Now moving on to page 30, Nigeria catastrophic result at Paris. The story of how the Nigerian people, the Nigerian team that represented Nigeria in Olympic, walked out of the Olympic with no medal. That's a challenge as compared to the previous Olympic Games when they bagged a lot. You got to read that. Now, as China overjoyed by the Olympic results amid tension with the US at Games. You get to read much of that story. And also we have feats in figure with over 9.5 million tickets sold. Paris 2024 has redefined Olympic success and captivated fans globally in the process. You can also read that. Now, a story that I also believe is very important and an inspiration, that is Botswana president celebrated 200 meters Olympic medal with the nation. Remember what Botswana did? Indians Paralympic champion suspended for alleged doping. Now you'll also get to that and much in page 29. Move to page 30. Paracyclists raring to go in Paris. Now that's a story that you'll also have to read. After dominating Africa, duo now 6 gold medal at Summer Games in Paris. You also go to read that story there. A new feature and great inclusion for Paralympic opening ceremony. You'll also read that story in page 30 of the People Daily newspaper. Triple threat. That's a story that you won't miss to read. A historic win in Paris solidifies Kipyegon's status as undisputed a 1,500 meters greatest runner of all time. You get to read that about Faith Kipyegon. It was amazing, and I believe we all need to read that. Arrival of Olympic flag puts pressure on LA 2028. You got to read much and much more of that. Now that brings us to the end of what we had for you for today. Remember, you can grab a free copy of the People Daily newspaper and read much and find more. I was just giving you the brief of what to expect in the newspaper. Remember, the People Daily newspaper is giving you a lot, ranging from politics to sports to matters of health, things that concern you, and the story wild sports and wild stories or wild news. And you can also leave a comment. Let us know where you're watching us from, and we'll be glad. Have a wonderful Thursday today. Have a good day. Till tomorrow, the same time.
Roll-up banners, street banners, teardrops, reflective banners, telescope banners, vehicle branding, road signages, mugs, badges, t-shirts, polo shirts, hoodies, pens, letterheads,